impervious to damage.
Targaryens are impervious to the illnesses of men.
Nice little voiceover. I like Daryl's.
Gregor, my sweet.
What's up, everybody? Was that intro long enough for you? It was for me. Thank goodness it actually worked. Welcome to the House of the Conqueror. I'm Johnny B. Crazy, and we'll be talking about the Great Spring Sickness and other pandemics in A Song of Ice and Fire, because why not? It's pretty fitting. This is the brainchild of fake Arya, a.k.a. Braavosi Blackcast, a.k.a. Fae Fire, and we'll talk a little bit about that Fae Fire tonight for sure. As I said, this is her brainchild, an extensive outline. We may even have to do 2 parts. But we'll be getting into all things, and so give me your theories in the chat, give me your thoughts, and we'll go through them, and we'll have a good time. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're practicing social distancing. You know, it's something I've did my entire life, so I'm pretty happy right now. No one is around, and it's a really good thing. But let me introduce my co-hosts. We got Katrin C of House Lorebridge. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm all right. You know, the pollen's getting us down, giving us phantom symptoms for the Rona. So that's, you know, giving us some issues. But we're trying to deal with it. I mean, and I hear that fake Arya, see, I don't even know what to call you anymore. Fake Arya.
I mean,
that's what you're getting. We're going old school.
All right, we'll take it old school.
How's it going?
How you guys doing?
On lockdown.
Well, you know, you probably hear the children, and that's pretty much how it's going. So, you know, walk down with children is really fun, but I mean, I guess better than sick children. So, yeah,
oh, definitely,
lots of fun.
Definitely a lot better than sick children. You know, but they are passing many, many germs, little balls of germs. So,
indeed.
Where do we want to start here? I will kind of let you, I'm not going to say this is your show, you know, I have too much ego for that. But let's, where do you want to start? Which disease do we want to come with first? You know,
well,
the first one that killed a Targaryen that we know of, or?
We can. I mean, we can start with, you know, the title of our show, The Great Spring Sickness. That seems rather fitting. So, wait, is that the one that took our first Targaryen princess? No, that actually wasn't. Just kidding. Well, that was actually the Shivers. Real professional. No, okay, yeah, we could. Let's start with the Great Spring.
The Great Spring Sickness.
Why not?
Okay.
Why not? We're gonna go in the order of our notes. All right, just to keep it straight for us simpletons.
Cece will love that anyway. Start off with a little dunk.
Yes, indeed. Cece will love that. So the Great Spring Sickness happened. Gosh, do we even have the exact years? We hear a lot of information about it in the Dunk and Egg novels. Dunk and Egg have been traveling, you know, all around. They were down in Dorne when the Great Spring Sickness was happening. So Dorne and the Vale actually closed their passes to quarantine the illness, and they stayed healthy down there. So Dunk and Egg missed all of that. But Egg I think he lost a brother in the spring. That's what they call it, in the spring. It was hit hardest in King's Landing and Old Town, and that seems to be pretty common with most of the pandemics that hit the Seven Kingdoms. So those are, you know, tons of travelers, tons of people packed together.
We lost 2 princes and a king. This is, you know, let's be honest. Egg started this, okay, because he had power lust and he wanted to be king. I'm just kidding.
What came first? The sickness or the egg.
Oh my god.
Yeah, poor Valar and Mataris. I think I'm saying that right. Whatever if I'm not. And King Darren the Good. How good was he? We can speculate on that at some point. Kaci.
But it was
Okay.
That is notable though that it did even strike the Targaryens. So they weren't immune to that. It wasn't part of their exceptionalism. So that's
Another
interesting.
example of the doctrine being total bullshit. Look, I've got a theory why the Targaryens are immune to most diseases that affect common men. They were one of the first civilizations. Oh, what he wasn't?
Oh, I wanted to know what your theory was.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. The fact that the Targaryens are just a older civilization. You can even think of them as Europeans coming to America. They already had antibodies to this disease, and it through breeding and chimeraism, they became impervious to this. But we're seeing new diseases pop up, and new diseases will affect any immune system. Targaryens are not gods. They're kind of cool though. I mean, I'll take purple eyes.
Well, and by this point, they'd intermarried with enough families that they weren't really pure, true Targaryens anymore.
Well, there's an interesting thing. So the parallel in the real world for because all of these diseases that George R. R. Martin includes in A Song of Ice and Fire, he loves history and all of that. So all of these have real world ties that we've kind of connected the dots. And it seems like the Great Spring Sickness is comparable to the Spanish flu, which was it was like 1918 through 1920. And that one was similar to, it's basically a variation of the H1N1, so the bird flu. So that is an interesting thought that the Targaryens aren't affected by that, but this is originated from an animal. It's a zoonotic disease, so it's transferred to humans, and it was like a mutation. It's kind of like what we're dealing with right now. It's a mutated disease from an animal, like that originated with an animal. So there's the potential that there was something similar to that with the Targaryens, and that's why they weren't immune to it. I mean, yeah, they have immunities to a lot of other things, but yeah, like you were saying, they come from an older part of the world. So they may have built immunities to a lot of these diseases that the people in the New World haven't. So then they kind of, use that as a exploitation to say they're immune to certain things.
Well, this makes me think about Kingdom, the Korean epic on Netflix. And I'm sure Netflix is loving the pandemic, by the way. One of Dunk's memories was selling the, if I'm thinking correctly, they played with the head, and then, sometimes human parts would go into a bowl of brown. I'm sure that could cause some sort of disease at some point. But we know they eat a lot of strange things, and King's Landing and Old Town, as you were saying, was the most effective. That's the most populated place. Dorne wasn't affected at all, and you can say it wasn't because of their borders, but you could also say it might have something to do with the heat as well.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going with the theme of what's going on right now.
Well, I know that it is an affected area, but I feel like it's been slower to be affected here. So I think there is something to that. That's my own personal bullshit, though, which I have quite a lot of, and I'm sure I'll spout some off to you guys. So
well, here's
we like you.
The big question is, maybe it's a natural disease, or did Bloodraven have anything to do with it and his sorcery with the beautiful Shira Seastar?
Picking on the sorcerers.
Well,
that's a definite rumor that's going around, because right after the spring, after it just barely started subsiding. They were hit really hard in the summer by a drought that lasted for like 3 years. And that's something that is currently going on in the Sworn Sword, in the Dunk and Egg novels, is they're enduring the drought. So, but yeah, they say, like, a lot of people believed that Bloodraven had something to do with it. It was, a side effect of his magic, and the king was kind of like under his enchantment sort of thing. I don't know. It was a way to advocate for the black dragon, for the black fire.
Dreams of prophecy of birthing dragons again. Could Rhaegar's prophecy tie into what Bloodraven did? If this, conspiracy I'm making up right now is correct. Who cares if it
I don't know if Bloodraven really had something to do with like with the sickness and the drought, but anything that has to do with Rhaegar's prophecy, definitely Bloodraven has something to do with that.
Kaci, what are your feelings about that? I mean, do you love Bloodraven or do you love Bloodraven? Right?
I have mixed feelings about Bloodraven.
Do tell.
Oh, I don't know. I like the character of Bloodraven, but at the same time, I don't think he's a good guy. It's kind of like, how do you feel about Tywin or Cersei? We like their character, but we kind of hate them.
I don't hate Bloodraven. I think, like,
well, no, maybe not hate, but you know, like, they're not good characters. They're not a good guy or anything.
Maybe. I mean, that's saying basically that Bran's not a good guy too, and that, like, a good guy didn't. I don't know. I personally kind of think that Bloodraven, like, won the Game of Thrones, kind of. So maybe
in the books.
Well, in the books we don't know quite yet, but in the show, I mean, if you kind of like put the pieces together, the three-eyed raven, Bloodraven was the three-eyed raven, then Bran was the three-eyed raven, and then the three-eyed raven basically won the Game of Thrones. So isn't that Bloodraven? Like, also, they're all kind of like reincarnated to each other. So I mean, it goes back and goes back and goes back. But anyways, just as Donnie said before, it's a cyclical cycle.
No, that makes sense.
But that's just kind of my...
You were thinking show Bloodraven. I was thinking
nobody
book
knew
Bloodraven.
about that, though.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's all kind of fucked up in my head now. Excuse my French.
Yeah, he is a the ends justify the means type of guy.
Yeah.
Let me give a big shout out to everybody. Tila Angel's up in here. Marika?
It's Marika.
Marika? Oh, goodness gracious.
She's
I tried to make it. I knew I've said this name before. How are you doing? Sorry for butchering it, but that's kind of what I do. Forrest Blurta, what's up? Actually, Mandelin's here in the chat. What's going on, Mandy?
Mandy!
That's what she says about me, too. Mixed feelings. So, we got a little something to work out, with your friends there. Connie Super, what's going on? Bloodraven has a bad birthmark. Assumed to be, is that Shusty, and dark. Miss Duncan the Tall, the one and only, married to the man that was never married. How did you do that? Let us know. John St. Baptiste, much love, my friend. How are you doing? It is great to see you. Lady Stoneheart, Kimberly G, what is up? Hello there, my beautiful friends. I hope you all are staying away from the Great Spring COVID-19 sickness. We are trying to, I tell you what. I'm keeping them zombies at bay with my, my nice spear that I stole from Odin. Okay, Sasuke, what is good? Did I say Lady Starfall's liking the beard? I guess I am too, and it grows all Amish and redneck like that on its own. So, But thank you so much. The Fearless Mermaid, how are you doing? The one true, oh, wait, OTDA, I don't know if, he wants everybody knowing his secret code.
He's
Peter
a man
Griffin,
of
Giggity.
mystery.
The Episode Club, what is good? Oh, there's so many people here. Danny McKay, what's up? What's up? Love y'all. If I missed anybody, please just yell at me. What's up, Kolneski? See, I'll still do it. All right. Yeah, so, neckbeards aside, let's get back to this stuff. I mean, you could say the Great Spring Sickness is definitely one of the main reasons why Egg got the throne, you know. So, in a way, tragedy is fortuitous in these lovely stories that we get from Germ, but it ends up falling down in the end. And I think this is when the Targaryens are starting to lose power. They're not gods anymore. And it all began with the Shivers, in my opinion, with Queen Daenerys. Not Queen, Princess Daenerys Targaryen.
Can I just say one thing? There is a point to, while the people were all freaking out about Bloodraven or kind of conspiring that he might have something to do with the Great Spring Sickness or it's some fallout from his magic, that kind of thing. What if it actually was in an effort to get Egg on the throne because he, had the foresight to know like how things were going to go down, because Egg was potentially the one who was sort of the catalyst of dragons coming back. I mean, depending on how you look at Summerhall.
Was promised, or maybe mistaken for that at least. Let me say I had a Blue Rooster. I got OCD. Also, I see you, Blue Rooster. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something that, I mean, he could even have been the one who foresaw, because of Bloodraven's actions, he ended up being sent to the wall. If it was another king who, because Bloodraven had killed, CC, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you'll know this. It was a Blackfire who came to King's Landing to, I guess, I don't really remember the circumstances. Anyways, Bloodraven ended up killing him, beheading him, I believe, and that's why he was sent to the wall. So if it was another king, like a lot of people, like Egg got a lot of flack for not killing Bloodraven after he had done that, because the Blackfire who had come over, or it was like one of Bittersteel's sons or something like that. He was coming over under a banner of peace or whatever. I'm totally like butchering my words right now. Sorry guys, but you're like the first people I've talked to in days. So, so Egg got a lot of flack for not killing Bloodraven and letting him live and going to the wall. And he even let him take Dark Sister with him too. So anyways, there's a lot of controversy over that. But what if it was Bloodraven that actually like foresaw all of that kind of stuff, knew that was his way of getting to the wall, knew he had to kind of go north of the wall, all of that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's just thoughts. Because Egg and Bloodraven had such a good relationship. So maybe it wasn't, maybe there was a magical reason or whatever with the spring, but it wasn't what all the people thought. Maybe it was just a sort of a catalyst to get Egg onto the throne.
Well, I mean, you got a quarter of the city burned with some nice wildfire. It looked beautiful, and Cersei probably dreams of this. I dream of the past every night when Bloodraven lit King's Landing on fire. That's what she does. That's what gets her off. You heard it first here. Okay. Kaci, you got anything to add there, or am I putting you on spot right now like an asshole? Maybe. Oh, she probably had a kid. It's kid time. Okay, it's kid time. So
yeah.
My friends don't ignore me. I swear. Oh,
sorry guys. I was just trying to read through the comments and accidentally clicked the mute button. I was just the CC saying that Egg was the dragon that Daemon dreamt of. So I don't know quite where that fits
I'm trying to
in.
remember Damon.
Damon, wasn't he the one that had the prophecy dreams?
The
That
dragon
was
that his older
felt
brother?
Yeah, the one that was drunk when Egg ran off with Dunk.
We need to have Cece on here. She's the
But that was
freaking.
like, I
She's the
think
Blackfire
I think it was
expert.
more of the that's
For real.
the prophesizing Baelor falling at Dunk's feet
Yeah.
at the end of the tournament, dying for him.
Right.
Because Darren had some other dreams though. I think that I can't recall right now. But Arya and Bright Flame, this is the same time. Yeah, he had a dream. Drinking wildfire make him a physical embodiment of a dragon. That was
He
a
was
crazy
worked
trying to-
so
bastard.
well.
He was trying
How
to get
dare
immune
you break Tanzel's fingers?
to the Great Spring Sickness. He's like, I'm gonna burn this out.
Darren the Dreamer.
That's it, Sasuke. Don't act like you don't know. You know you're smart as hell. Quit that shit. Katrin! Apparently humans here. I heard she's
Hey,
human.
Kat.
Maybe.
Hey, Kat.
Apparently.
It's time for some water. Apparently you're not like the old Westworld hosts who, that was their weakness. Water in the original movie, That was so great it was the best movie of all time, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Do you catch my sarcasm here? All right. Let's see. All right. So, let's go ahead.
Oh, well, yeah. So that's about that for the Great Spring Sickness. It really wiped out a lot of people. It wiped out like half of King's Landing and half of Old Town. It was just like a crazy, terrible thing. And then with the drought that followed, that didn't help anyone that was recovering. It really took down a lot of crops and stuff. So it was bad times. And it is comparable. So with the Spanish flu, which many of us are familiar with via Twilight, Edward.
Oh my God.
All right. Don't judge me. Okay. But yeah, no.
I was thinking history class, but okay.
All right. I'll put myself out there for judgment. But you guys are my friends, so I don't care. But yeah, no. So it was really bad. And the problem with it was similar to what's happening right now with Corona is that they didn't have the technology to figure out, to keep up with like the mutation that was happening. So they didn't have like the vaccines and that kind of thing. So it was just kind of a struggle to get on top of it. And it killed a lot of young people and a lot of old people. And so it was just, and then we even had I'm sure you guys remember, I think it was in 2009, we had another pandemic of that. So that was kind of probably our last like crazy pandemic that we had go on. I mean, that and swine flu and that kind of thing. So anyways.
Yeah, and Lady Starfall lets us know that it actually wasn't Spanish, even though it was called Spanish flu.
Yeah, that was they just did that like it wasn't
racist.
Spanish.
Come on. We know they were racist.
Yeah, I mean everyone was racist back then, but they totally were. I think
except Edward Cullen.
Wasn't it labeled a Spanish flu because at the time Spain was neutral and it was the only country that would admit it was having a problem with people getting sick and dying in mass numbers because of the whole World War I going on?
I like my racist story better, okay?
I'm sure your racist story is probably a lot better than my dry ass history facts.
No.
It's fine.
No, it's awesome. That's how I learned.
Yeah.
But honey, I love you.
But so I think that a lot of things with like Corona are being sort of addressed similarly, like with what we learned from that, because that was kind of the most recent crazy pandemic, but also like that our bodies have to kind of develop these immunities to things, which is a huge part of like recovering from it. And a lot of people, while it was a crazy pandemic, I think 500 million people were infected, but only 50 million died. So That's all. But, I mean, when it's a third of the world's population are infected, and then, that's a tenth of that actually died. I mean, thankfully and hopefully we have a lot more of that, if we have it a lot more under control right now, hopefully, fingers crossed. But it did go on for like a few years. So, anyways, people are going to have to be infected with these viruses in order to develop the immunity that our society kind of needs. And that's a scary but factual thing.
For the purposes of time constraints, I'm going to cut off your nerd session really quick, and we're going to go to the sickness that started it all for the Targaryens in Westeros. Now we're going to talk about the huge sickness, the one that looms over A Song of Ice and Fire as we speak. After this, the original sickness, if you want to call it, Garen's Curse, the Grey Plague, the Greyscale. Are they the same thing? Not really, but yes, kind of. No, we'll get into that. But right now we're going to go into the shivers like I mentioned earlier with Princess Daenerys dying. The winter of 59 AC, I believe. I'm trying to pull this off of memory. But, Daenerys was supposed to marry Aemon. It's going to be a nice little happy, cute couple that grew up together. Another Targaryen sibling match made in heaven. I don't know how more ironic of a statement I could make. But by all of society, even the peasant farmers who couldn't read or write, they were like, hey, there's something up with this bullshit. And so we see the chink in their armor, and I think this is the beginning of the end for the Targaryens. And this was, I must have dropped for 2 seconds, but this was the beginning of the end for the Targaryens, in my opinion, and it wasn't, a couple of generations after Aegon. So it's very quick, Rome sped up a lot. But I see you chomping at the bit, Aaron, because she did so much research for this.
I'm just enthusiastically no, yeah, the shivers was a pretty scary situation. People would die really quickly. It would just take a couple of days. They would just start with a little chill, little shiver, throw an extra log on, then maybe, go to bed. And then by the next day, they'd wake up, they'd have, be shivering uncontrollably, trying to, just keep warm in any way. And their lips would start to turn blue. They couldn't, stop shaking their hands and that kind of thing. And then they'd start coughing up blood, and then that was it. They were dead. So it kind of swept through actually all of Westeros. I wouldn't say it didn't really it didn't start in the north. There was just there was kind of some famine also going on at the time, because the winter that year was or those couple of years was really rough. There was a lot of famine going on in the north.
Dothraki rats. That's what I think it is.
It was Dothraki. But yeah, it was spread by rats for sure. And then, it killed a lot of lords. I think I have a list here going. Celtigar, Bar Emmon, Rosby, Staunton, Tully, and his wife and her sister. Lannister and his wife, Marbrand, Tarbeck, Westerling, many more, a bunch of their families. Several were afflicted but made a recovery. But that was pretty rare to kind of make that recovery, because it just came on so fast and so hard. And then when we saw it, the other, the thing with the starvation that was going on, that started spreading even down into the Reach and that kind of thing. So even in King's Landing and down where things are usually nice and lots of food and that kind of thing, there wasn't. So people weren't feeling very well from this. They didn't have food and supplies to take care of themselves. The Master of Coin, Rhaego Draz, he was attacked in the streets of King's Landing.
Hot dog fingers, as we call him, around my neck of the woods.
All right. Well, probably.
We were hungry.
Yeah. They cut off his fingers and stole his rings and all of that. But Jaehaerys was pissed. he was not happy about that. He got on his horse and he went down into the city, even though all of his people were like, listen, that's super dangerous. And he's like, well, look at me. I'm a Targaryen. What about that doctrine of exceptionalism? He went down there and he kicked some ass. And that was almost kind of as things were wrapping up with the Shivers. And then he went back home. But then within like a few days, that's when their little daughter, their beloved little Daenerys, she came in and she's like, Mother, I'm cold. So, yeah.
It's like Tiny Tim.
And then, yeah. And the Maesters tried they had all the remedies, everything they could to get that little girl better. Jaehaerys even sent for them to go fetch a dragon egg off of Dragonstone, but they didn't even make it back in time. She died before that. So
All they had to do was make a dragon egg omelet, and she would have been fine. Okay. What's up, Phil
God,
H?
probably the cure.
Probably. The blood of the dragon must remain pure and yolky. Kaci, so
Yes.
what do you think the biggest impact of Princess Daenerys' death was? Or would you like to speculate on anything about the Shivers? Also, chat, give me your speculations. Are you cold right now? Whatever you do, don't put an extra log on the fire. That'll be the last log. Yule log. Why do they talk about turds at Christmas? Who knows? All right, Kaci.
Well, with the Shivers, I think it mostly damaged the Targaryen rule, not just because of the exceptionalism that kind of went out the window with it, but it just with the way it damaged King Jaehaerys and Queen Alysanne's relationship. I mean, you kind of have to have a pretty solid power couple to lead and to keep it all in the family and keep shit together. And they pretty well fell apart after that. And then while I was looking some stuff up, it looks like the Shivers we could kind of tie into the real world pneumonic plague, just based on the symptoms and the mortality rate of it. And that just leads more credence to the idea that this came from rats on ships, like we know the plague did.
No, I'm not laughing at you, Kaci, I swear. I'm laughing at
Are
the
we
chat
sure?
because I'm an idiot. Oh, I'm really sure. Yeah, the only symptoms really missing are the nodules on the inner thighs and shit.
Well, that's for the the main symptoms of the pneumonic plague. The bubonic plague is the one with the nodules. The pneumonic plague has the chills and fever and the coughing up of blood.
You got me thinking. Sorry. Aaron, whenever you want to jump in, I got brain frazzled by Kaci.
Uh-oh.
I gotta think for a second.
My bad.
No, it's a good thing.
What do you think, Aaron?
I mean, it's pretty rough, but that seems to kind of make sense. The Yersinia pestis, the bubonic plague, or its cousin. I don't know. It's pretty nasty stuff, but it wasn't like a. I think we missed the part in the notes, but I'm pretty sure that it was carried by rats.
I think that was the speculation.
Yeah, and
from
I'm sorry,
the kingdoms.
There have never been more cats in Westeros.
Yeah, everybody's friendly with the crazy cat lady.
Yeah, that they were basically required cats in the city, and then after that, everyone had to get dogs to get rid of all the cats.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, you ever
and then
seen
they ate the dogs. That's how the bowls of bread got.
Right?
Vicious beasts.
But no.
Oh, what's the one-eyed tomcat's name? Does it have a name?
Balerion?
The one Arya chases. Yeah, Balerion. Yeah, I
Yeah,
wonder
that's
if
Valerian.
he's as old as, he's from the Shivers era.
Most
I don't know. He
likely.
seems grumpy enough. He very well might be.
It's an interesting difference with the Great Spring Sickness and the Shivers is they had during the Shivers they had all the rats and that was carrying the disease, so they had to get the cats and all that, try to get the rats out. One of the quotes that we have from the Great Spring Sickness said, it's from Sefton. Where the heck is it? He says something about there's no rats. He's like, I've never seen. Oh, okay. You would not know the city since the spring. The fires changed it. A quarter of the house is gone and another quarter empty. The rats are gone as well. That's the queerest thing. I never thought to see a city without rats. Which is weird. I guess the rats got killed in the spring too. But those dirty bastards.
Who's going to tickle your children's feet at night if there are no rats? Who's going to clip your child's toenails, for you? You don't have rats trying to sharpen their teeth on your child's fungusy toenails because you're barefoot walking in the streets with a bunch of shit flowing everywhere. That guy must be a royal because he doesn't have shit on him. Sorry, Monty Python, I'm stealing from you.
Careful, you're going to get us censored.
We already are censored. I did that. I pre-checked them boxes before we started because I know myself.
Not suitable for children.
So,
they can watch that.
Connie Super says, cats to eat the plague, dogs to chase the cat, chat to chase the dogs, and whites to chase the chat. That sounds about right.
What did you say? A circular cycle.
A cyclical cycle. Tell me that's not the dumbest thing you've ever heard come out of a redneck's mouth. It's probably not. It's some, Tiger King.
I was going to say, I just watched Tiger King. I still think you're doing all right.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. That bitch Carol. Carol Baskins. Okay.
It's all Carol's fault. The Shivers
I can't even
missed everything.
It's totally Carol's fault. That was such a Game of Thrones. That was the best Game of Thrones season 9 I ever saw.
I just put it in for season 8. All I do is I run the video of season 8 and I do the audio of Tiger King beneath season 8. And then it just makes for a raucous good time. Jon Snow is Joe Exotic. And then, Daenerys is Carol Baskin. Because, this is how it plays out in the end. Oh my God, what are we talking about? This is all my fault. All my fault.
So what are we on to after the Shivers?
Yeah, see, thank you for segueing us nice and smoothly, Casey.
Nope, no smoothness.
I'm having so much fun talking to people.
You're just excited. Human interaction.
Excite. Okay.
This was the best social distancing ever.
Yeah, well.
I don't see anything in the chat about the Shivers.
So, yeah. They're just making us do all the work. I mean, it's not like this is my channel or anything.
Just let us know if you guys have any questions about diseases, zoonotic diseases, fictional diseases, and or rats.
Yeah, send us your medical questions, and then we'll call Dr. Drew or something.
John St. Baptiste said that it probably started with the rat infestation in Old Town. I'm assuming that's a reference to our favorite gray rats that we all love to hate.
That's right.
Those bastards.
Well,
Oh my gosh, ladies, I'm with you.
He'll be okay if anything happens. He'll just hide.
Donald Lair. Yeah, people weren't very happy.
To die for him or something. Like a nobleman should.
Mm-hmm.
Any mention on how long they lasted from Phil H? Like the diseases or the outbreaks?
I believe the Shivers was in 59. It was just a year. Yeah, I think it was just kind of through the winter. So it's like 59 through 60. And then the spring, I'm not sure when the spring was.
Yeah, the Great
Cece.
Spring Sickness. Oh, yeah.
Cece will
what year
find
was
out for
that?
us.
Can't
We
believe
call
it.
upon
Okay. Look that up for me, Jamie.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh, here's a good
chat.
question.
Grey Plague or the Pale Mare next? We should probably go Pale Mare. And then set up the Grey Plague. And
Yeah.
then talk about the current events and the Song of Ice and Fire to finish this off nice and tasty and get into some theories and,
Yeah.
make you hungry. We'll talk a little bit about dysentery, and then you'll go eat your dinner with your family. Right?
That sounds like a beautiful mission.
Y'all can't see my deadpan right now, but, All right. Take us on.
Did you say the Pale Mare? Is that where we're starting?
Yes.
Did we
Sure,
decide
why
that?
not?
Okay. All right.
I'm very indecisive.
So the Pale Mare is going on in Marine right now. And it is basically dysentery, which is a gastrointestinal illness that makes you poop and get until you're dehydrated. You basically poop your life away until you're pooping blood and then you die. So it's really beautiful. So it's going on in Essos right now. It came out of Astapor, and it's making its way to Marine. In Yunkai, they are burning just piles of dead, and even like their city's basically under chaos right now because there's a bunch of
Bring out your
war
dad.
going on. Yeah, there's a bunch of war going on there because, well, Daenerys, she took off on Drogon from the fighting pits in Marine, and so she kind of left the city, and now there's all this crazy civil war. They didn't put this on the show, but Barristan is still alive, and he is kind of holding down the fort. Quentin Martell just got roasted, but his buddies are there, and they're kind of helping Barristan. Plus, Barristan has like these men that are training to be knights and that kind of thing. So,
serious question real quick pertaining to Quentin. The hashtag that's popular right now in the chat is poop your life away. Do you think Quentin shit himself when he got burned? Sorry.
Oh my
really
God.
Awful of me.
Probably got like cooked inside his body like a freaking sausage, a poop
Duck's
sausage.
just like, he shit himself.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that what are the dragons? Viserion and Rhaegal, they probably don't mind. Anyway. These questions, these conversations, you don't see it. This is why we're a special bunch.
I think everybody's really happy for the social interaction right now.
Hey Kaci, we got some good questions from the chat. You want to take a few? And maybe
sure.
Give advice on life and.
Oh, you don't want life advice from me?
What you should eat if you don't want to poop your life away? I think
you probably shouldn't eat.
Well, it's definitely important to wash your fruits and vegetables. That's one thing I learned while I was researching dysentery.
Have clean water.
Sweet, clean water.
So let's see. Mackenzie asked, if the books are finished, would George use another disease or outbreak to kill some characters? If so, who dies?
Well, we're going to get to that, Mackenzie. We're sure to get to that.
That's a whole thing.
And you're not going to like it.
Let's see.
Mackenzie. I love you.
Yeah. Well,
still scrolling through the chat here.
At least, people are still making lemon cakes. That's one thing you can take away from it.
Still making lemon cakes in the Vale. But the Pale Mare is interesting now, and not to like fluff my own feathers, but I did make a freaking video about this a while back, and it's actually one of my favorite videos I've made, so maybe you should check it out. But the Pale Mare was also in Quaite's prophecy to Daenerys, which I can read to you guys right now if you'd like.
Yeah, remind us what that is.
All right, it says, "Hear me, Daenerys Targaryen. The glass candles are burning. Soon comes the Pale Mare, and after her the others. Kraken and Dark Flame, Lion and Griffin, the Sun's Son, and the Mummer's Dragon. Trust none of them. Remember the Undying. Beware the perfumed Seneschal." But it starts with, "Soon comes the Pale Mare, and after her the others." Which is like, duh, the whole freaking story. But just saying. But that passage is everything. Yeah.
Do you think the Pale Mare will make it out of, do you think we will have cases of the Pale Mare end up in Westeros? I think that's a big question, right? Kind of ties in a little bit. But
So,
will this die out?
I mean, it might stay. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, things have gotten really crazy in Yunkai and Astapor with the disease. I mean, the cities are basically on fire. People are starving. They're straggling out of there, like dying. Basically, the first guy that comes to Marine that's infected with the Pale Mare, he comes riding in on a horse, and the man's just dying. He's sick down his legs, and
shat himself.
Yeah, he's all bloody.
Hashtag
the horse.
Shit yourself.
Yeah. The Blue Graces, which are kind of like the Silent Sisters, they come and take him, but they're like, oh, there's nothing to be done for him. He's dying. And then at a certain point, Daenerys goes out amongst the sick, and her, I think that's kind of the Misa scene that they do in the show. I think that's like kind of a homage to that, because she kind of goes out amongst the people and they're like thankful to see her, but everyone is like so sick and dying. And her like handmaidens are like, no, don't, like, what are you doing, you crazy person? But Daenerys, she's like, I'm not, I'm a Targaryen. I'm blood of the dragon. I can be amongst these people. And she doesn't get sick, or well, I don't. Does she get sick?
I think she's having a miscarriage, but that's my theory on what's happening to Daenerys.
It's misleading. Like she's either sick or she's having her period or something, or miscarriage. Like I don't feel like the wording is very clear, and that's probably on purpose to leave us hanging.
That's the running. I think the strongest running theory is that she was having a miscarriage out there, which was like proving that she's still fertile. And that's like the huge, thing we're supposed to take from that. But again, there is the potential. I mean, there's a freaking flux going on in the city, and maybe she's not affected as severely as the other people who are dying from it. There's that potential.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing here is that Daenerys is going to lose everything she's ever worked for. And the only thing she is gonna have now is the Iron Throne. This could push Daenerys to make some decisions. She doesn't have to be crazy. She just has to have some power lust. To make some decisions that are kind of ruthless. Because she's tried to be the nice person. She's tried. It did not work. Literally, people's flesh are sloughing off their bones, around her. And, she's not going to see this. She's going to come back to devastation, presumably. Barristan probably dead and all that. So...
Well, there's a pretty gnarly, in the Winds of Winter pre-release chapters, Barristan has a couple of chapters, and
you like how I segue that, don't you?
They're saddling up for war there. I do. And I'll just read you the quote. It says, "Out beyond the city walls, the distant thump of a trebuchet releasing could be heard. Dead men and body parts came spinning down out of the night. One crashed amongst the pit fighters, showering them with bits of bone and brain and flesh. Another bounced off the chainmaker's weathered bronze head and tumbled down his arm to land with a wet splat at his feet. A swollen leg splashed in a puddle not 3 yards from where Selmy sat waiting on his queen's horse. The pale mare, murmured Tumcolo. His voice was thick, his dark eyes shiny, and his black face. Then he said something in the tongue of the Basilisk Isles that might have been a prayer. He fears the pale mare more than he fears our foes, Sir Barristan realized. His other lads were frightened too. Brave as they might be, not one was blooded yet. So,
to be fair, I think I'd be afraid of the pale mare more than someone with a spear.
Well, and that's, I mean, they're flinging bodies over the walls. So there's no way to
stab with a spear.
That's biological warfare.
Yeah,
people for a few days.
Yeah, it's not a good. That's the worst thing because they've closed the walls of Marine, so the people they're trying to keep people safe, but this is now they're fucked. So Daenerys is gonna have to come back and burn the city probably.
Yeah, I like that. She had to burn all those bodies, same way as in Bloodraven. She might parallel Bloodraven as being portrayed as a villain, but it's really,
it's for the best.
Real life is not black and white; it's gray. And
well, and if you have a city that's had these bodies flung into it during this whole ordeal, the city is completely infected. All the bodies outside the city are infected. What else do you do besides burn it all?
Burn them all. Her father said it best, right? Let me just give a shout out to Nancy T, the mother of blankets. Holla if you hear me. That's a thing going on in chat. I'm not just being weird right now, okay? And Katrin C, from my point of view, it's so good to see you in the chat. Her dogs have her up at 3 a.m. So, hey, at least we can make your unpleasant time being woken up by the dogs pleasant. So it's awesome to have you here, Katrin. And we got Denizo Targaryen.
That's Denizo.
Sorry, okay? I'm trying to do this on the fly. You're worse than...
Hey, look who's here. It's Septa.
Septa, Shayna's Secrets. Oh, the pale mare, right? She's burning. That means, she's probably got some hemorrhoids. And as it's coming out, it tends to burn. Maybe she had some hot sauce as well. Spicy peppers in her diet. And, you know how that works. Okay, I'll let y'all seriously answer that question.
That's a good question.
Kaci?
I would think that would point to a fever.
Maybe Yunkai, because Yunkai's burning. Maybe that was all, he rode out of there on the horse and that was all he could, he's all dying and messed up. Maybe that's all he could think to say.
He ran backwards through a habanero field. Maybe that's what happened. I just kill it. I kill it and make such awkward nobody knows what to say. They forget what they're talking about. I'm such an awful host.
No, we've just all been too apart from people. Laughing anymore.
Case.
I don't know. But yeah. So, also Tyrion is he's heavily kind of in the midst, in the outbreak. What's the word, Johnny? What's the word am I trying? He's in the hot zone, whatever. Anyways, he's down outside the city because so all the people out of Yunkai and Astapor, they're making their way to Marine. I don't know, to think that Daenerys is going to fix it or whatever. But there's also a bunch of war that's coming to Marine and all of that. So Tyrion is currently in the camp outside of outside of Marine, where he was purchased as a slave by a Yonkishman So kind of similar. It's him and Jorah. And then they have little Penny with them, and she is also a dwarf, and she's a mummer.
Fearless
And,
Mermaid says she thinks Penny's sick.
Ooh, why do you
yeah,
think
That'd be
Penny's
interesting.
sick?
she might be. She might have a touch of
Sounds
it.
okay. Oh, dang, Penny's got the Rona.
Yeah, Penny's got the Rona. Um, but Tyrion, he's like getting down. Like it's interesting. Like everybody, their little guy nurse, he got sick with it, and nobody would go near him. But Tyrion's still, he's still getting in there, bringing the sick people water and that kind of thing. Their like their owner guy is like this. It's Yezin, the yellow whale, which I know is freaking Bubba Husky's favorite character. but but yeah, he's sick with the flux. So all of his slaves are kind of like taking care of him, but they're also dying. And anyways, Tyrion takes the opportunity to escape and go and join in with another sellsword group. So he's trying to
There's
get his
a comment here, but I don't want to get her name wrong again. Casey, help me out.
Oh yeah,
With the
Marika?
pale mare and dysentery. Yeah, there it is, Marika. Okay, so now I can do it. Thank you. Sorry, Marika. Look, I am an imbecile, so just everybody deal with it, okay? The thing is, the pale mare is dysentery. The bodies won't do a thing. It's the water, and that has me thinking: is it the water because of how fast it's spreading? I think that's a good point, but also you got to
Bad water
think
supply.
Yezin. What was Tyrion's master's name? He
Yeah.
should have had clean water. That's what separates the rich from the poor, but they might not have had access to it. They were there so long. So, I don't know. I think that's a good thing to speculate on. Y'all go ahead. Well, not speculate. It's probably dysentery, but still.
Yeah, I mean, they whether intentionally or not, I'm sure they're disinfected, but also probably intentionally because think about how they, the Yunkish, they torched all their fields, and like they burned all their olive trees. They, they destroyed all of their crops in the like war efforts or whatever. So infecting their water supply wouldn't, be out of the question. Seems like a pretty smart idea with what they've been up to.
Well, and there are some questions in the comments about whether or not the wells would be safe, even if the river water was infected. But I'm not sure exactly if the wells would still be safe, or if maybe not many people had access to the wells.
Forgotten the
I don't know.
groundwater. Maybe.
Yeah.
That would be an extremely strong form of dysentery.
Well, and as far as like Tyrion and Penny and all those guys, whether or not they get sick, they've been traveling for a while. So even if they had access to fresh water, I mean, we don't know. Do we know? God, I need to reread this book.
See. If it's dysentery, this wouldn't be right. But Connie Super does bring up that Tyrion could be immune or have. Oh my God, I can't think of the term now. Be an asymptomatic character.
Mm-hmm.
Carrier.
I cannot speak tonight.
Oh, that's a good.
Yeah, they mentioned that Tyrion said that Dany should have poisoned the wells.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would imagine the wells are probably poisoned. The river is always going to be questionable as a water source, no matter what. You can get dysentery from the river without a bunch of dead bodies being put in there. So their water source is probably questionable no matter what. And with their like the other armies being out and that kind of thing, they could probably like scout out places for clean water where all the Marinese are like locking themselves into the city. So yeah. It's just a really unsanitary environment all around, and that's how it's spread. It's spread on like from handling food and water and just being around it. It's really just, it's easy to spread. because it's through poop, and they're all just like shitting themselves uncontrollably. So
I mean, it
Yeah,
would
and
be
if you're
really
afraid to
easy
drink
for
the
the water
water.
source to get contaminated in that kind of environment. That's for sure.
Yep.
Wine and ale it is, or mead, you know.
Yeah, if
Maybe
you want
that's
to
all.
avoid
Why,
dysentery, just become an alcoholic. It's fine.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean,
at a
Tyrion
certain point, all
alcohol
beer came from monks from the church. And it was like a
was.
sacred drink
Does
because
anyone
it
remember?
wouldn't get you sick.
Was Tyrion drinking like crazy during this time? I can't remember.
I thought he was. Maybe not like crazy, but there was. I could have swore there was some Tyrion wine love going on there.
There was while he was on the ship with, um, what's
No,
his name? Griff and young
So that's
Griff.
okay. They use their hand to
there
wipe. I mean, what are you talking about? No, I agree.
there was
No, no 20-second hand washing.
um there was some wine drinking because remember they went into the tent where they were playing Sivas and they had wine around.
Yeah, I think they just cut him off of alcohol. That was on the show. That was
Yeah, I
Jorah
think,
that cut him off.
yeah, but I don't think in the books he's cut off.
So he's probably been drinking. And then, I mean, all the things that happened basically from Tyrion getting, taken from the young Griff situation where we know he was heavily drinking, to him getting taken by Jorah, to him getting taken by slavers. That all happened relatively quickly. And Yezin is a wealthy, his owner is a wealthy man. So I would imagine he probably has a bunch of liquor and wine and all that. So maybe Tyrion's just, he's going hard. Like, this is how I stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if you can really stay healthy in this world. I think you just want to try to not die shitting yourself. I think that's kind of the goals here.
I think that's if Geralt of Rivia taught us anything, that was it.
well, I mean, yeah. So I've already stated that they didn't have toilet paper, so it makes you wonder what happens. There still are countries today where one hand is used for wiping your ass. So just think about that.
Maybe Tyrion has like
Tyrion invents
well, you know
toilet
how he
paper
maybe
in Winds of Winter.
he got Greyscale in his butthole, so he doesn't have to worry about dysentery. Remember, he swallowed a bunch of that river water. So maybe
I saw earlier Phil H, I think, wants us to talk about STDs in Westeros or A Song of Ice and Fire. But you're not going to shame me yet. Wear me down over the next 15 or 20 minutes, then we'll talk about it, okay? I am not that easy, okay? I'm not that easy. Okay, I'm a liar. We think this is pretty much going to be self-contained, right? It's more than likely a nice, crazy form of dysentery. It seems like a strong form of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's up for speculation. I could be wrong. Who the fuck knows? Everybody knows but me. But this is going to be... this will cause fear to sweep a lot of places. Do you think King's Landing will get closed off their port at some point? But, you know, the Maesters would know, right, that this is just caused by drinking nasty water. But there are things that point to that not being the case, even though I hear people been shitting in the wells. I don't know why they would do that, but it can get into the groundwater supply. That's a lot of shit, though, and there's a lot of messed up people. Who knows?
Well, if someone has something on their hands or whatever while they're trying to get water out of the well.
Well, I mean, even if Daenerys does have it, right? If she's not on her period, if she's not miscarrying, she's gonna kill all the Dothraki. No.
Well, I kind of expect her to kill at least most of the Dothraki anyway.
The fire will be flaming poop. It won't be a literal fire like we saw in Game of Thrones.
Oh, she won't just knock over a brazier and call it a day?
Well, she did.
The only way
did a little spell there too. Life for a life. All those calls, life for her life. Whatever.
The only way to hear a dysentery breakout in Marine is #Maester Flamin. That's all. Dragon fire. Johnny, you were supposed to laugh at that. It's your stupid
Can't
theory.
you help with dysentery
I'm
just
sorry.
with getting clean water?
What's
I
that?
mean, if can't dysentery be kind of alleviated and helped if you just have a clean water access source and start getting that into your body rather than your grody shit water?
Yeah,
That
what's
definitely
Barristan been drinking
helps.
too? He doesn't drink alcohol, we know. So.
Well, they had
But he-
at that point they weren't infected in the city until they started flinging bodies.
Right.
So yeah, we don't know what Barristan's going to do after this.
Do we think it's going to take out Barristan?
I mean, that'd be a definite better than the show. No, that man deserves to die with a sword in his hand. That's what he wanted.
I think when he's given his final speech, he'll get hit with a dead body and it'll just take him out like that. Fade to black. Someone picks up
Oh my
Barristan's
God.
sword. I don't know. Maybe a character named Tiny Tim, as we spoke of earlier. One leg, and he gets through the madness. No, I think he could get it, but then he'll go out on his shield, right? If he does, he'll know that he's got a certain amount of time, but at this point, they need to get the hell out of there. I don't know how long is he going to hold that city. He's pretty adamant about it, but someone with some brains would know, what are you going to do? You know, boil your water? I haven't heard them talking about that. Sterilizing drinking sources or water you pull from somewhere. That's something they could do as well. Just put it on a fucking fire, guys. We don't get sick from drinking alcohol, but we get sick from drinking water. What's the difference? Oh, we pasteurize it. So someone could figure out. If anybody that would be able to figure that out, I would say Tyrion would be able to come to some sort of rescue, and this is how he saves the city for Daenerys, right?
Maybe that's how he gets
actually
in with Dany.
Yeah, that's an excellent point because that's literally what he did in Casterly Rock. He set up all of their drainage and all of that. Mm-hmm.
Tyrion's a master.
That's a really good point. Yeah, for real. They get paid really well too, so that's a good position. He's a journeyman at this point.
All the sewers there as well, because he's already did that before.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Daddy.
That's a great point. That's a good way to earn yourself hand of the queen right there.
So look, we have solved the Pale Mare crisis, and we can move on to the loveliest of diseases, the John Conningtons, or if you only watch the show, the Jorah Mormonts of the world. John Connington is a piece of shit that doesn't know what social distancing is, but we'll get into that in just a second. Give us a little background information on the Grey Plague.
I can stave off social distancing with wine. Everybody else is using vinegar, but fuck that shit. All right, so we're going to talk about Greyscale and the Grey Plague, and they are different things, but they are related. Right?
Let me say something really quick. For Sasake brought up about Strong Belwas. He isn't dying anymore. He's actually a male model now. He's very skinny. So he's actually on the mend. It'll be good to see if he gets it. I don't think the Pale Mare can take out Strong Belwas. If a whole bowl of poison locusts, which
he's got dragon
had to be
blood,
more poison than for one man. Huh?
He has dragon blood, doesn't he?
That's what he says.
Yeah. So maybe he won't.
God, I feel like I don't remember anything from this book.
Oh my God, I've read Dance with Dragons way too many times.
Okay, so I rudely cut you off because, as I've stated many times, I'm a horrible host. So go ahead, Aaron. I swear I'll be quiet for a second.
Well, so that's actually, so we'll talk about Greyscale and the Grey Plague and how they relate to each other. Greyscale, we all know, it turns people's flesh to stone. They can survive for, a limited time, but it kind of causes them to go mad over time, or just, become so stony that they die. So they send them off to Valyria to live out their days or whatever, which is like super weird anyways, because nobody goes there. So anyways, it's just weird. But you can cure it. A lot of times in children, it can be cured. Sorry, I've got some commentary. We know that Shireen had it. She survived. But there's
Greyscale victims
a lot
in the background.
Exactly. There's Valyria is actually right on the other side of that wall, so that's where all the crazy stone men live. Yeah, Shireen has it, but you go, so in A Dance with Dragons, Shireen's up at the wall, and Val, who is a wildling princess, she sees Shireen, or she meets her, and she's just not okay with it. She's like, that is not, like, she's not cured. That disease is sleeping, and when it wakes up, like, it's awful. So she wants the baby away from Shireen and all of that. It's just like, she's like, no, that is a dangerous child. She's unclean. She needs to be killed. Like, if she was north of the wall, we would kill her. And they're like, she's like, I feel sorry for her that you even let her live. Like, and John is just like appalled by this. He's like, what the heck? Like, she's fine. She's just a child. But no, like, Val is not okay with it. So
well, let's start there really quick before we get too far ahead. We're with Shireen, and she survived, blah, blah, blah. And me and you have some theories about this. Kaci may have some theories about what is to happen to Shireen. So I'm just going to give mine simply at first and just throw it out there and let y'all chew on it. And I know, I don't know, don't disappoint me, okay? Weave your tales here. So, Shireen, if it is dormant and we take Val at her word, and we know that free folks seem to know a lot more about things that are a mystery to our common men in Westeros. So we maybe can assume something will happen, especially if Shireen dies the way she did in the show. Could burning her, could the vapors from her body, just like we hear about the vapors on the Royne, the vapors that supposedly cause Greyscale, could her vapors start an outbreak of the Grey Plague, which is as I'll let you get into, which is a faster form of Greyscale? Could that happen if that little girl gets burned again? We'll have to relive it twice. No, just relive it. Damn it.
Oh, and I think that we are going to have to relive Shireen's death, because I definitely think she's going to get different circumstances. I think Val's probably going to take the place of, well, I think it's all going to tie into John's reincarnation. Only death can pay for life. Should I go down this road, or should I get back to plagues? Or I got things I could say about this. I think that Shireen's death will be in an effort to bring John back to life. She has king's blood if Stannis is a king. Melisandre's at the wall, and she loves to burn people with king's blood. And they need to bring John back. Val and John are very close to each other. They get along really well. Val, she's a wildling, but she's like beautiful. She's intelligent. She is experienced. She's fearless. She can handle herself. John sent her north of the wall to go find Tormund. I'm sorry that I have so much yelling going on in the background. John sent her north.
It's just Bedlam. It's fine.
John sent her north of the wall to find Tormund and convince them to come to the wall for their own safety. And she did that and convinced them. And she also found Ghost and got Ghost to hang out with her and come back south of the wall with her. Like, her and Ghost are super close to each other. And I think that that will tie into when Jon dies, because there's a pretty like strong theory that Jon's going to go into Ghost's body. And I think if that were the case, that that Ghost, like, Jon will probably communicate through Ghost to Val that he's in there. And Val, I think, is totally okay with, like, you know, she knows things. I think she's going to know how to do reincarnation. I think she's going to know to go to Melisandre, similarly to Davos, where Davos went to Melisandre and was like, Jon needs to be brought back to life. He's more important. And I think that, yeah, Shireen will be burned for that reason. And probably Solis, you know, what is she going to do? There's madness going on at the wall. There's like a bunch of wildling women, and there's like Solis, Shireen, and freaking Melisandre. That's like the southern ladies. So they're not safe. Those women are not safe at all. Stannis and his men are gone, and Jon just got killed. So basically it's those three highborn ladies, a bunch of wildlings, a bunch of Night's Watch brothers, which those two factions are at each other's throats as it is, and then like a handful of Solis's men. Like, those women are so not safe. And I think that Melisandre and Shireen, or Melisandre will burn Shireen to bring Jon back. But that's an excellent idea, Johnny, that Shireen will release some kind of grayscale through the vapors. And there's a lot of tie-in with Greyscale and the others, especially when you consider like Shireen's disease is just sleeping and that kind of thing. Like, if she burns it and she releases those vapors and that infects a bunch of people, that's very much like, that's right there, like adding to the wildling army south of the wall, like at the wall, but on the south side of the wall. So Val, I don't know if she knows that much. She knows that girl's dangerous, but I don't know if she knows that much. I don't know if she's looked that far ahead. Now,
can the Stone Men be controlled by the Great Other? That's another pretty big question. Is there a tie there? If there is a tie with the others and Valyrians, which there seems some kind of tie. Doesn't mean they're related, but they know of each other from days past, I believe.
Well, and Patchface is like obsessed with Shireen, and oh wait, no, never mind. I'm thinking of the Drowned God, not the Great Other. Don't listen to me.
Maybe they're one and the same. Who knows?
Maybe.
You do have these two diametrically opposing forces of ice and fire. And I believe it won't necessarily be a bad god or a good god, just as R'hllor, in my opinion, is not a good god. You say he's an awful god? No, it's just like a god that almost has human tendencies, can make mistakes, or at least the person seeing the vision. But really quick, I think Val will probably know it's Jon or something, but Bran has seen what's going to happen to Jon too, I think, in a way. Or he will. And I think him,
Bran's watching.
Blood Raven, Bran Raven, we'll call him Bran Raven, will send a message to...
Raven.
Well, I guess send a message to Melisandre, and she'll misinterpret it as a message from R'hllor, possibly.
As always.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Melisandre is also seeing who she thinks is the Great Other in the flames, but she sees Bloodraven and Bran in the flames. And she thinks that's the Great Other.
True.
I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe Jon will come to her in the flames. Hell, that'd be cool.
So John, so let's talk about this. He says, what about sending a ship full of stone men to King's Landing? So let's talk about the Grey Plague. So the Grey Plague is like kind of a cousin of Greyscale. Those who have been affected by Greyscale cannot get the Grey Plague. The Grey Plague is awesome. I'm talking. So the Grey Plague is sorry, I just got distracted and I was on a freaking roll. It kind of goes back to basically originated. So there's Garen the Great, who was a prince on the Rhine River. I believe his city was he in Croyan or was that Rhaenyra or what? Anyways, it was during the time of Valyria, and the lords of Valyria were conquering all over the place. They were trying to conquer the cities along the Rhine, and they were attacking a bunch of cities. The lord, or like the kings and princes of along the Rhine, they all came together, and everyone decided they were going to fight back, except for help me with the name. What's her name, guys? Who's Arya's wolf? Nymeria. Nymeria. So Nymeria was like, no, fuck that. I'm not fighting these people. She gathered her people and she took off. The rest of them stuck around to fight. So Garen was a prince and he decided, he wanted to fight. His people, the Valyrians came in on their dragons. They really like torched the shit out of everything and everyone. They enslaved a bunch of people and they took Prince Garen and they put him up in a cage and made him watch as all of his people were killed and enslaved. Well, Garen called out a curse. He cursed the Valyrians and they all laughed at him, but he cursed them. And that night the river water rose up and like this super dense fog came in and all of the Valyrians were infected with this Grey Plague, basically, that killed them really quickly. And it's similar to, in the way it affects, it's similar to Greyscale, but it's just super fast acting. And it goes into their lungs and it just basically kills them really quickly within a few days. So
the Ben Gay of diseases.
Yeah. So there's a lot of association with like the mists of like the mists of that disease, or the Grey Plague is like a mist, associated with mists coming in and rolling in. So that's, and
Kaci?
then when go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm gonna see if Kaci has what you got? You got anything to say about that? I don't know. I'm being very fucking awkward right now. But Kaci,
I don't. I had to go rescue a cat from a child, so I missed most of that.
Meow. Oh yeah, we were hearing Casey's kitties. I don't know if that's a really weird global flight statement.
Oh,
right. Dang it, Sasa calling me out. Well, there was so there's been a few outbreaks of the Grey Plague. It kind of comes up occasionally, and it's carried by rats, similar to a lot of diseases. Grand Maester Pycelle remembers when he was a kid growing up in Old Town that there was an outbreak, and half of the city died. And that was, so as you can see, Lord Quentin Hightower, he barricaded the city. He locked the gates to control the spread of the disease. That was quite the unpopular decision. I think he burned a bunch of the city and he burned all the ships at the port. And basically once the disease had kind of run its course, he went to open the gates and people were still, just so savage at that point that they pulled him and his younger son off of a horse and cut their throats. Readers anyways of the Grey Plague outbreak that was in Pentos. Magister Illyrio tells us about in A Dance with Dragons, and it was carried by rats on the ship, and it killed 2,000 people, including his wife, Sarah, his second wife that he loved dearly. And he kept her hands that were once so soft,
It
but
seems
now
like
they're
they don't
stone.
really get a chance to go mad either, right? It kills them too quick before they can even become like zombies, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like it goes pretty quickly, and it's really hard on their bodies anyway. So, yeah, they don't, we don't get too much zombie action.
Um. Oh yeah. So we know that John Connington has the opposite of Greyscale, right? He's got, well, what would he have? Yeah, he has the Greyscale. So this is the slow moving, him turning into a stone man. Something that isn't known is, can he be a carrier of the Grey Plague? Is Fagon?
Can't be infected by the Grey Plague, but
Carrying it?
how could he carry it? That's a good question. They talk about that in, I think, A Feast for Crows. So it's interesting to see if it's going to play into it, or if we'll see, hear any increasing reports out of UT, or if it's going to spread from there. There's also the 5 forts in UT. There's a lot of like parallels throughout the whole story and throughout the world of Ice and Fire with like the first long night and all of that in Essos, and with UT and the 5 forts and all of that. So it would be interesting to see if there's any foreshadowing that comes out of UT, or any further foreshadowing that comes out of there with the 5 forts or with the long night. I don't know.
Maybe it would have to be a refuge of sorts for someone. And if we're still lagging or whatever, let me know. My internet's a bitch. There's nothing I can do about it. It lets me go for so long, and then it says, "Screw you! I can't handle OBS." So we'll go as long as we can. We're gonna definitely have to do a part 2 of this. I want to get Dornish Winch on here. So I've been trying to harass her. Nobody has anything to do, so let's get it going.
I should get her on here.
Hey,
reaching
Melanie.
out to a few other people.
Nice to see
What's good? And we can delve a little more into the theories, but John Connington, we have the outbreaks in UT. I think there'll really be measures taken. If this King's Landing probably close, the ports will probably close. If Greyscale is imminent, people are scared as hell of that shit. Nobody's more scared of anything than Greyscale. I guess the Pale Mare when it's there and you're shitting yourself, but the Greyscale is way worse. Way worse. Jorah is just normal scale because he has psoriasis, but that's all. He just had a very bad skin rash.
Well, let me see how seriously Cersei takes like reports that come out of the East. She never takes that shit seriously. She's always like, oh, whatever. Like, she doesn't care. She just does not care. So, no, like, and that was mentioned in Ariane's chapter that they were talking about that. But so yeah, it would be interesting to see if it comes in. Cersei probably won't do anything. She's not the type to really.
It's already here though with John Connington, and they don't know. So that's going to be the beautiful irony of it.
Yeah, and so if there's like, John Connington has Greyscale. I mean, there's probably people hiding Greyscale around, but the Grey Plague, I think, is something to be way more concerned with. And then if you see, like, I don't know, maybe we'll learn something. Maybe we're about to learn something.
I can see Greyscale getting to King's Landing pretty quickly with how close Griffin's Roost is to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not super close, but it's not like across the country or anything. It's not that far, really.
What if it's John Connington that gets burned?
Or they capture him, yeah.
spreads
Cersei's looking
the.
for him, or whoever is in charge right now. I can't remember because Uncle Kevin's dead. But Cersei will be in charge because Varys is going to make sure of that.
Well, yeah, and he's probably going to freaking kill Tommen pretty quickly. So.
Well, Tommen's a figurehead, he's a puppet king. Yeah, that could happen. Burn him alive. Cersei will start burning people alive with wildfire. She has that in her. We see the signs of that, right?
She has to get out of her little predicament with the faith first. So it might
just gonna burn them.
Well, she's
burn them.
Who knows what's gonna happen with Cersei coming? I mean, yeah.
Cersei
right now she's
burning them all.
I don't know. I think that we're on to something, though. I think that burning a Greyscale victim that makes a lot. I don't know. I think we're on to something here as a biological bomb of sorts of releasing the Grey Plague. And that's terrifying because we know of two characters right now that are in really likely positions of getting burned.
So, all right. I know everybody's going to hate me, but I think this is a perfect place to stop, especially since we probably can't go much longer because, redneck internet, it's a piece of shit. They say it's the best in the area. Lying bastards. That's all I got to say. I about just had a freak out on air thinking about my internet. But let's speculate. What's the Grey Plague gonna do? How is it gonna tie into the story in the long run? I think it could definitely be humanity getting hit from both sides by disease and monsters. So there's a lot of implications. What if Arya gets it? See in the chat. What if Fagon gets it? Fagon's probably gonna get it. Fagon can just try to horseplay with John Connington in some heat of excitement. Oh, Ariane's gonna marry me. Have you seen how hot she is? Oh, what's that on your arm? I accidentally just touched it.
I don't know. You know what?
Face.
Okay. That
I'm just joking.
Well, you know how I feel. Well, I just wonder if Sansa's going to play into it at all because there's so many parallels of her with Queen Elizabeth. Okay, so what we kind of figured out is Greyscale and the Grey Plague are comparable to smallpox in the real world. So that just so you guys are up to speed with that. There's two variations of smallpox similarly to Greyscale and Grey Plague. One is acute and comes on quickly and just invades your body and people die from it. The other is slow acting and a lot of scarring on the body. People usually go blind and it's kind of similar to Greyscale. It's like a slow onset. It does usually, you usually end up dying from it later in life. But yeah, anyways.
Don't give away that theory yet.
All right, I won't tell my theory, but I'm going to make a video, you guys. I have a really good one.
We'll do all the theories on the next one because we got to do another one of these because there's so much to talk about. And you did such a great job that we don't even have to do anything. The outline's still the outline for eternity at this point. And we'll get to go and speculate. Kaci, does your cat have anything to say? Ooh, that came off weird.
You're just not allowed to talk about cats anymore, Johnny. You can't do it without sounding weird.
Sorry. Just thought of something awful. So stupid.
Nope, I don't have any thoughts to end on. Besides that Erin needs to keep her theories to herself so we can enjoy her videos.
Well, also, Kaci, if people can plug in the chat for me, Kaci has a new video out that's pretty good about Bran. Go check that out on House Lorebridge. Help me out, mods, if you can. At least, Sasuke said, at least you didn't say it in your Baelish voice. Yes.
That is very true.
Hello. Yes, anyways, let's not talk about cats in Baelish voice. That will get me banned from Twitter, and I'm never on there. That's how bad it would be. Now, we have some exciting new things going on in fake Arya's life, and I'm really digging it. And if you like Arthurian lore and legend, if you liked the story Mists of Avalon, I think you're gonna like what fake Arya is covering on her other channel, Fae Fire, the Fire of Faith. And I'm gonna let her plug that because I'm not gonna do it injustice right now. Yes, link that too, please.
What?
All of that's in the descriptions.
Yeah, check out my channel. So Fae Fire is just, I started a new channel that's going to be like Arthurian lore and legend. It's mostly surrounded by this book called Cursed, which is about Nimue and who's destined to become Lady of the Lake. They're doing a new show on Netflix about it, or so they say. Someday, I want to see it. Come on. Anyways, it's going to be starring Katherine Langford, and it's just going to be great. So I've been doing a lot of content, or as much as I can, with the limited amount of information I have from that. But I've been doing a lot of stuff that's based on the book. So check it out. The book's really awesome. The artwork in the book is done by Frank Miller. So it's just, and everybody loves him. He's like exciting and edgy and all of that. So check out Curse, check out my channel, see what kind of weird stuff I'm doing on there. And then I'm going to be working on this video for Braavosi broadcast that I've been, my new theory.
Yeah,
so
Sansa
we'll
is Sir Ilan Payne. That's the new video coming out. At least they'll look similar in the end.
Maybe they'll laugh similarly, for all we know. So,
I think it's a really good theory. I'm privy to this theory, and I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll give you a general idea of the theory later, but I'm not going to let her disclose all her juicy info. Yeah, I just said juicy. Juicy. And Sansa. Okay, so I'm going to stop doing this. No, I've had a really good time tonight. I hope everybody's had fun in the chat. I really appreciate y'all. I would ask y'all to go check out my Patreon, but nobody's got any fucking money. People are trying to eat, trying to buy fucking toilet paper. So don't worry about that shit. But I appreciate all my patrons that are there. Y'all are fucking fantastic, and everything I get goes to this, to make this show better, to make better videos. And if y'all are into Westworld, check out my last 2 Westworld breakdowns. Episode 3 will be out late tomorrow, and I'll be on the episode club tomorrow night with Mackenzie L. Burns talking about Westworld, the absence of field. Season 3, episode 3. It's going to be a real fun time. Get into it. Do it. Love you guys. I've had a great time. And we'll have one of these next week, or maybe even this weekend. Just look out for a notification popping up. Look out for a link in your feed, and I'll try to get it out at least on Twitter. These people here do the Facebook and stuff. I'll let them link that there, so go follow them. Facebook. Don't stalk them, please. But, to each their own. Whatever. I'm not gonna...
Stop on
y'all want to say anything to anybody out there? Or I wish y'all well. Keep 6 feet away from everybody.
Yeah. Stay healthy.
Especially people you don't like.
And sorry that the Ice and Fire Con got postponed, so that's kind of a bummer. We won't get to see our friends anytime soon, but miss you guys. The end. That's all. Stay healthy.
Yeah, stay safe. Wash your damn hands.
Yeah. Make sure you have a song when you're washing your hands, because it really helps. Toss a coin to your Witcher. Or your Swiffer.
None of that's blasphemy on my channel. $80 million should get you some good story structure at least. Shit.
Yeah, if you'd like to
learn
something about Netflix, you can do that on my channel too, okay? Just saying. Those assholes.
Hashtag Netflix anarchy. Wherever you go, Netflix anarchy, okay?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still gonna watch, I'm still probably gonna go watch Netflix literally right now, but that does not mean that those bastards don't suck.
Well, whatever. No, but thank y'all for coming on. It has been a pleasure. I'm gonna do this again. And yeah, thanks for pulling these these breaking news stories that everybody's seeing on the screen right now. Thanks for pulling them for the internet for me, Aaron. They were part of Facebook. We don't know if you know the original author of these. Please let us know. I'll link them in the descriptions. But it's a mystery as of right now. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. We will see you on the next one. Thank you for visiting my house. I'm Johnny B. Crazy. And I like cats.